In today's class, we are going to study about the spores. The spores, these are the small unicellular reproductive bodies which are formed in a sac-like structure called sporangium. When spores get matured, and the spores are present inside the sporangium. When the spores get matured, the sporangia burst and spores released into the atmosphere and give rise to the new organism, and these spores can be carried into the environment by the different abiotic agencies like the air, water or wind. The spores fall on any suitable ground or any suitable substratum, they germinate and develop into the new individual. As in 11th class we are studied about the rhizopus or the bread mold. Another kind of spore here we are going to study is the zoospores. The zoospores, they are the flagellated spores, and the flagellated spores, they contain the flagella, they are movable and they can move from one place to another place like in Chlamydomonas. Similarly, one more kind of spores are also there. These are the aplanar spores. Unlike the zoospores, the aplanar spores are non-flagellated and they are mostly present in various kinds of fungi. Another mode of asexual reproduction or another kind of the spores, they are the conidia. Conidia are the asexually producing spores. They are born externally to the cell or the conidiophore. Example is the Penicillium notatum. In class 11th we studied about the conidia. The conidia, the series of the sporangia, they arise on the mycelium and which give rise to many spores. The another kind of asexual reproduction is the fragmentation. The fragmentation is a kind of reproduction in which the organism simply breaks when it gets matured. And when the organism matured, it breaks into several pieces and each piece is able to form the new organism, and the best example of that is the Spirogyra. Next is the fragmentation. Fragmentation is quite different from the regeneration. As in case of the fragmentation, the organism divide into many pieces and each piece is able to form the new organism, and the fragmentation occur when the organism get mature, it break into several pieces. But in case of the regeneration, the organism break into many pieces accidentally and each piece is able to form the new organism, and the best example of regeneration is the starfish. Now come to the asexual reproduction in plants. There are different kinds of asexual reproduction like the vegetative propagation. First is we are going to study here the vegetative propagation. The asexual reproduction in higher plants takes place through the vegetative part, and vegetative parts we know already that the other than the flowering parts in case of plants are the vegetative parts like the root, stem and leaves. So instead of the flower, any kind of the plant is able to reproduce, then this is known as the vegetative propagation. And the part of the plant which undergo the formation of the new organism, this is known as the vegetative propagule. And there are several natural method of vegetative propagation, as for example the root. In case of the sweet potato and dahlia, the underground roots grow adventitious bud to form the new plant. For example, dahlia and the sweet potato. Next is the vegetative propagation by the stem. There are the different varieties of stem. We already studied in classes 11th like the tubers, like the rhizome, like bulb and so many other things. In case of the rhizome, the best example of rhizome is the ginger. The irregular underground stem grows horizontally and it contains the lots of adventitious buds, and each part, when it cut it and each part is sown into the soil, it is able to form a new organism. We already know about the potato. The potato contain the small adventitious bud like structure which commonly we call them the eyes, and each eye is cut it and when it sown into the ground, it is able to form the new organism. Next is the bulb. The best example of bulb is the onion, and the onion contain the disc shaped underground stem which bear the central bud and which is surrounded by the fleshy and scaly leaves. And when the each central part is cut it into several pieces and each piece is sown into the ground and is able to form the new organism. The next type is the corm. The best example of corm is colocasia or arbi. When the arbi adventitious buds is found on the underground vertically growing stem or in arbi, and it is able to form the new organism. Next is the vegetative propagation in plants by the subaerial stem. The first is the runner, and another one is the sucker, stolon and offset. The runner is the stem portion of the plant that which grows horizontally on the surface of the ground, and the node of the runner produce adventitious bud which develop into the plant and that form the number of clone. The best example of that is the oxalis or the common grasses. The next is the stolon. Stolon are the weak horizontally above ground stem that are used by the many plants as a means of asexual reproduction. The plants send out the stolon on the surface of soil and grow a adventitious bud on the end of the stolon. Next is the offset, and the offset is the part of branch or stem which bear the cluster of the root at node, and the adventitious bud on nodes of the offset can grow into the plant. The best example is the Ecornia crassipus or the terror of Bengal or the water hyacinth. And it is an exotic weed, and due to presence of this mode of reproduction, it become invasive and completely occupy the whole water body and destroy all vegetation which are present in that water body. And the next is the sucker. The best example of sucker is the chrysanthemum or the mint. The adventitious but found on the underground root grows a stem called sucker which arches out of the ground and stalk out of the aerial stem. Next, vegetative propagation in plant occur by the leaf. The best example is the bryophyllum. The bryophyllum belongs to the plant which are present in the marshy area, and that the notches of the leaf, the small plantlet grows, and when it fall from the plant which fall from the leaf into the ground and able to form the new organism. So this is the end of the today's class. We already studied about the different modes of reproduction. Next class we are going to study about the sexual reproduction. Thank you. Have a nice day.